Pixelborn is shut down and Lorcana is officially dead. Without a digital client, this game is just heading towards the dark days. I think I wanted to really touch base on this topic because of the multiple TCGs that I play and really kind of highlight why a digital client, especially a free one in this case, is really important for the health and success of new TCGs, especially in this worldwide stage that we have now. This kind of accessibility phenomenon that we require for folks to come into the game, test the game, and really thrive in an environment where, you know, having only pay per play is really going to be a detriment to it. I want to take this from the angle of being a Magic player, being a more recent One Piece player, and especially as someone who has tried and delved into Lorcana and happily at this point sold out. Now, this is the tweet from Pavel, the creator of Pixelborn himself, or one of the primary developers. I imagine he has other people working with him on this as well, but someone that I follow and just someone honestly who's probably done more great for the game other than just Ravensburger printing things, right? Like Pavel has just been one of the cornerstones of the community creating this, and this was his message yesterday. Kind of early this month, Disney representatives contacted him and he was advised that, you know, they have intellectual property you shouldn't be copying, and with that in mind, Pixelborn will stop support as of the 16th of June. And, you know, he kind of goes on to talk about how, you know, the server will still be up. It'll be a welcoming place. He realizes that, and he's kind of noted this will probably happen at some point. We just didn't think it would happen so soon and with such, I don't know, with such finality in that sense. So, you know, he thanks everyone for sharing in his journey, and he just, you know, says that, hey, in the past week, Lorcana has a bright future for it, but I'm here to paint the picture that that probably is not true, because at this point, this is the only accessible way to play Lorcana in any way, shape, or form, especially considering the staples in the game, the cost of certain cards, and how honestly at this point we already have just meta-shattering staples that do not have replacements whatsoever, similar to the feeling of other TCGs. So kind of addressing this from the top, I mean, this honestly is just going to kill like 90%, 95% of content creation out there, right? So for all those players out there that were testing decks on a week by week basis, they just had the rug pulled under them. There's a lot of content creators out there that I may not have followed because I wasn't super deep into the game, but I knew I would get deck ideas from, and I would watch occasionally, that essentially just cannot function anymore. Right? Pixelborn was the primary platform. It was the only platform to get out consistent content. A lot of folks don't have the resources or the time to go out there, grab a camera, go to a local game store and film just hours and hours of content. And it may not be in the most watchable format either. These days, when it comes to paper gameplay, it has to be highly edited and highly interactive. As you see from the Magic the Gathering space, a lot of the Commander content, heck, a lot of the 1v1 constructed content has to have back and forth cameras, commentary, overhead lights, like all this type of high production value to get any amount of views whatsoever. And that content is great. It's just not highly reproducible on a channel to channel basis. So again, the rug pull for a lot of content creators is really unfortunate, and we're going to see the game decline as a result of that. A lot less traffic, in my opinion, on YouTube, and there's going to be a few creators out there that are left that will probably get increased content or traffic because of this, because a lot of the other content creators leaving, it'll just be kind of them left over in the search engine, all this type of stuff. People will still play the game, I think, at a high level, but it will slowly start dying and dying as less folks attend big tournaments, less folks are kind of incentivized to play the game. Tournament organizers aren't going to be putting up as high cash prizes or hold as frequent events. And honestly, after this year, I don't even know where the direction of this game is going. Right now, Spot Games talks about how, you know, in a classic Facebook group here, folks talking about how, you know, it'll force players to play the game like we used to in pay. Look, at this point, this isn't like Magic the Gathering in the 90s or in the early 2000s, right? Like, it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh in the early 2000s. Like, these games are this big right now without digital clients because they were one of the original ones to be in that space and really, I guess, revolutionize and create new ideas. They were the ones that paved the way for other card games to come in and succeed where they didn't, especially with Magic the Gathering being kind of one of the OGs, having so much support behind it and having so many resources behind it, being able to succeed over the years, especially with their new Universes Beyond model. They are succeeding further in the near future, with Yu-Gi-Oh having stuff like an anime behind it, Pokemon having stuff like an anime with the fantastic games behind it as well. There's so many reasons why those TCGs have succeeded that Disney cannot succeed in this sense, especially with all the negative press around, you know, being a Disney adult these days. People can kind of interact with the Disney space in other ways than a TCG, right? So a lot of these games that I'm mentioning right now were TCGs first in many ways, and then other media after. Disney was media first before it was a TCG. So a lot of folks may not understand why they should be playing a card game to interact with their Disney content. And so with that, we see, you know, folks like Braden over here, Braden MTG, a big Lorcana player that I see kind of appear on my timeline pretty frequently. And this is nothing against them. I have no personal gripe against them. I've never had a negative or heck, even a positive interaction in the sense that I don't really interact with them, but I see their tweets. And so they say, you know, really need Magic players to know that Lorcana has the GP level events, giving 500,000 prizes every year, like every month in North America. This game doesn't even suck. And, you know, I will agree to a certain extent. I have a lot of problems with Lorcana as a game, but I think just that the flaws outweigh the benefits in my opinion. It's very linear gameplay. It's very hard to interact and stop like aggressive kind of questing and just a lot of the combos that happen in the game. I think at a high level it's pretty diverse. There's a lot of decks that are meta, but there's certain strategies and game pieces that are very frustrating to play against, and I don't think the game has really developed in a way where we can answer them just yet. I don't think it's necessarily like the One Piece TCG, where the One Piece TCG has a big collectability aspect to it, a lot more than Lorcana, which is actually kind of surprising considering the price of like the D30 promos and all that. But with this tweet, kind of this was, I believe, like before Pavel even announced it, and then I even kind of commented down below, the timing of this tweet sucks considering the recent Pixelborn announcement. I say sucks in the sense that, you know, not blaming them, it's just kind of really unfortunate there. And kind of furthering on that idea of having those kind of Disney adults and kind of the hate around it. Peachy Pop here, again, nothing against them. Only ever had positive interactions with them as fellow ex-Magic the Gathering ambassadors. But Lorcana could be the most mechanically fun game in the world with $1 billion prizes, but as someone with no enjoyment of Disney movies, the IP theming always felt incredibly silly to me, and I just can't get around this. And this is one thing I really wanted to touch on. Okay, so they further say below that this is it's mostly about Lorcana fans who insist that people only play Magic because they're addicted to it and they had more fun if they switch. I'd personally rather die than play Tinkerbell Cinderella sing-along card game. Okay, I think this is really aggressive because, like, look, I get it. And she goes on to further, I will completely acknowledge, she goes on to further say it's perfectly fine to enjoy the games that you want to enjoy. You know, she just doesn't want to play Lorcana in that sense. But I think that argument is kind of weak because this tweet, it outlines it perfectly, where people will activate Leonardo da Vinci to discard the TARDIS and no one bats an eye. But if Cinderella sings a song, everyone loses their damn mind. Yeah, Magic the Gathering is becoming a, you know, Fortnite. It's becoming a little ridiculous. Okay, and the fact that we aren't playing games because the Cinderella sing along, there's a lot of really cool mechanics in Lorcana that really help it push forward. But I think there's a lot of negative press on it because of its IPing. A lot of people don't want to, you know, sing songs like We Don't Talk About Bruno in their card games. They find that rather silly, but I think there's a lot of powerful things that a lot of people connect with the cards because they see these cards in the movies. They like playing with their Jafars. They like playing, you know, the Big Be Prepared song and thinking about it in their head. Like, they like things like this. But I think a lot of this kind of idea is the first negative press, and now with Pixelborn being gone, kind of focusing on the content creator side of things, will Disney or Ravensburger be making their own version of the game online, or is this just going to be a crushing blow to the community? And right now, with the evidence we have, or the evidence that I have found and been presented with, I believe this is just going to be a net negative, right? So unless they plan to announce a digital client with access to all cards, and heck, you know what? I'm not saying it needs to be free. I understand these companies need to make money and pay their developers. If an online client is coming, then I will actually hop back into the game. I'm not going to lie. I will actually be regularly playing Lorcana when there is an online digital client, because when it comes to Magic the Gathering, it cannot be denied that Commander is the #1 way to play that game, right? But it also means that when it comes to accessibility, digital clients like Magic Online and Magic the Gathering Arena are pretty much pretty much a secondary pillar to the game itself in terms of accessing the game, playing online tournaments, playing for money, qualifying to in-person tournaments, Magic Worlds, all that stuff. There are ways to compete in those digital clients that are built in and they're accessible. Magic Arena, heck, can be played on your phone. You can go on the toilet, get a quick round of best of one out, and you can then hop back out from there, right? Like, it's very accessible and anyone can play at any point. Obviously, there's cost restrictions at kind of both clients. You know, having to buy your cards again. we're past that. In Magic the Gathering, we're past that. I see this in One Piece TCG. A lot of folks talking about how they don't want to have to buy their cards again. I'm be serious. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Capitalism is going to take over. It's really unfortunate, but if you want to access these games, that's what it's going to end up being. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm going to be honest. Perfect world, I don't want y'all to pay for your cards. I want these free clients to exist. But in order for these games to succeed, you need these digital clients. You need to promote accessibility, and then you need to have kind of pass to pros or ways to kind of qualify for these digital tournaments and online tournaments and paper tournaments, everything through these avenues in order to succeed. And we have that seen in the Magic the Gathering route. But when it comes to One Piece, we obviously don't have that. We have the Sim, which is a little bit different in the sense that it is a free version of free way to play the game, but Bandai is the one printing the game. But the creator is Oda, just being the kind of voice of reason for One Piece and the way the anime is and manga is kind of written. It'd be really weird if he himself stopped the Sim from happening. It'd be really weird. I feel like he would have something to say about it because he's all about accessibility. He's all about everyone enjoying themselves. Like it's come on, it's what Luffy would have wanted, right? Let's be for real here. So I think for the One Piece TCG, we have a little bit longer before we have to meet that hurdle, but an online digital client is pretty much the only way I would be playing this game at all. Heck, if the digital client or the Sim for the One Piece TCG stopped, I would stop playing the game altogether. It's just not. I just don't want to promote a game that doesn't have a digital client to it, because there's no way for me to promote the game to a mass audience at that point, right? There's no way for me to really provide a way to learn the game, to showcase the game, to test the game. And right now, that's what's happening with the lack of Pixelborn on Lorcana. There's now no way to test the game, to participate in the game, do these big online tournaments and win these big online prizes, and it's just not accessible anymore. And now the game will lose eyes on it. It will die because of it. And without a digital client coming farther down the line, honestly, it's not looking good for Lorcana.